Welcome back to the Hollywood Hang. I am one of your hosts, Nick,
And I am your other host, Tepper.
and we have no guest today.
We have no guests. This episode is going to be really fun. We're going to do like a check-in and then dive right into the topic of everything related to pitching because Nick just crushed a pitch, which you'll learn more about shortly. Because I don't really have that many updates. I am chilling like a little villain. The room ended. I miss it. Basically now the studio has all of the episodes and they'll read them and they're gonna let us know if it's a go. You're literally just kind of like, yay, we delivered what like they asked for, and like hopefully they're gonna read it all and really like it. And like the other thing that could happen is like they read it and then they're like, we like it, but we want to open up like a mini room to just kind of finish them off, and they would like kind of decide from there, or they'll be like, we can go into production and like let's run from there. So there's like a few avenues that it could go. We should know in like the next, like they said, like 2 to 4 weeks. So TBD on that.
Interesting. Wow.
And then yeah, the rest of my time now I'm doing marketing stuff again. I got all that up and running, and then working on a feature. I swear to God, I'm going to send you a pilot that I'm really excited about, and then a short story. And I'm hoping like at the beginning of the year, I can really go running with all of those. So that's like kind of my ish.
Are you the type of person who actually takes off for like holiday break, or do you just work through it?
I actually love working through it because,
Me too.
yeah, like I'm so like no one's messaging me about like any work things. There's no campaigns. Also, though, I am going to Japan. So I don't know. Remember, I told you I kind of wanted to spend the winter break also kind of thinking of a TikTok repetitive-ish
Short form.
yeah, series. So we'll see like if that is something I think about.
Did you see the WGA message about the short form stuff?
No, I saw the micro dramas. Is that the same thing?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah. Which I think is like interesting.
Yeah, I was a little confused about it. I wonder if we could potentially get somebody to like clarify it on here at some point.
Oh yeah.
They basically put out a statement saying, we have so many people reaching out to us asking, hey, is this microdrama new thing covered by the guild? And they're like, it is covered. But also it has to be a company that is like a guild signatory, and none of the big companies are guild signatories.
It's like so Crazy Maple, Real Short. Crazy Maple is Real Short, right?
Yeah, Real Short is the big one, and they're not a signatory. Like I looked up the thing. So it's like they're kind of saying, I guess it's not covered, or yeah, I don't know. I guess it's very unclear. And it also doesn't clarify if that is the video stuff, because like there's the place I used to work at, which was audio only.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still kind of unclear because it's so new.
Right. That's like, I think I get what they're trying to do, but I'm also like, if you know that the industry has just had a massive constriction, like, aren't you kind of happy? Julia York's posted a video that I really agreed with, where it was kind of
like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Where I was like, if writing is someone's passion and like it's really not harming, I think they're scared about how much this could harm the ecosystem of the attention economy already without it being like protected. But I'm like, if we're in the interim and people are really struggling, like, and they want to write, and this is like a way to do that. And I honestly like, I'm so interested in them because I think it really sharpens a skill set. Like, how fast can you grab attention, and like, can you keep it? And like, I just think it's like a cool thing.
Yeah, people like poo-poo on the like how lowbrow it is, but it's like, it's like very hard to get paid. Who cares? I mean, like Risa Tisa doing a 100-part series that's very soapy and dramatic. Like it's who cares?
Right. Yes. Like I just think it's like, let people get paid the way, like, especially like being able to get paid to write is just like a hard thing in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've got going. Okay, now exciting.
Wait. What? There's something else you had going, because where were you last night?
You're right.
Everyone take a shot.
God, we went to the Shelby Oaks premiere. Oh, I just found like a flower. The Shelby Oaks premiere. One, I I didn't even understand the after party location, but like why I was like, oh, it's kind of like a fun place to go. But I forget that it's a house. No Vacancy like is an old house. And obviously this has kind of got like a haunted house. I don't know if Ghost Paranormal like side
it did,
to it.
Yeah. It was kind of like that presence event in that house.
Yes. It was really, really smartly done. And especially I just feel like my girlfriends are really gonna enjoy like that aspect of it. I was also there's the other part, the first big jumps. I don't know if it's the first big jump scare. The jump scare after she watches the thing.
Oh yeah,
so
in
good.
the TV.
Yes,
we were talking about that. It's very, very good.
Very, very good. That
I might steal that for my movie.
Oh my god, it was really. Wait, okay, so. Now that you said it, speaking of your horror movie and pitching and all things pitching, how has your past week and a half been?
The craziest week ever. So I think on the last Q&A, I was like, the last two, I was very vague and saying, oh yeah, there's like something I'm doing, but I can't really say anything. And that was because I just didn't have the updates, and I also didn't want to like get too ahead of it. But yeah, so basically I applied to something called Fantastic Pitches, which was the first time they've ever done this at Fantastic Fest, which is a genre festival that just happened in Austin. I was a part of 5 projects that pitched in this competition in front of a live audience. We had to submit a script, breakdown, a team. We made a short proof of concept, all this stuff.
Okay, wait. I actually do want to hear more about everything they asked for, because I think it's a huge list. And I think it's like what people don't like people, if you want to go into these fellowships and these like competitions, like this is everything that you would need. It's a lot.
And I was also going to make a video about this, but I think I definitely submitted like a little bit of extra credit for it, because I think finding the balance between like, how do you do extra credit for something but not come off like too
thirsty?
Yeah, exactly. So they were like, submit a directing sample if it's a proof of concept for this project, like great, but not required. So immediately I was like, okay, I'm just going to shoot this short proof of concept over a couple hours. I used an actor that I met at South by. And we had to, my producer did like an entire budget breakdown. This is for a micro budget project. So it's $100K total, very, very small. And yeah, I have a bunch of like creators involved. So I attached this huge horror creator as like our key influencer. I have another big creator making our puppets for the movie. So I was really trying to lean into like, oh, we are the digital team,
Yeah.
And yeah, it was it was like 3 weeks. That's like all I did is just put together this package and submit all that stuff. And yeah, we did an interview. Same with yours. It was kind of just like, just checking to make sure we were real people. And then, yeah, we were told, okay, you're going to be in this pitch. It was like less than a month to prepare a 5 to 6 minute pitch, which is crazy short.
Yeah.
And they said, you have to figure out how to pitch your movie in 5 to 6 minutes. There was going to be a whole industry panel of judges, and they were like, assume these people have not read the script. There was like Barbara Crampton, who's a legendary horror actor. There was Tim League, who's the guy who created Alamo Drafthouse. Matt Johnson, one of my favorite directors. So I was like it was a big, extravagant event. And it happened on like the 3rd day we were there. So I got there on a Thursday, couldn't focus on anything else except, okay, the pitches are on Sunday. And then, yeah, we ended up winning the pitch competition. So now we have less than a year to make this feature, and it'll debut at next year's Fantastic Fest.
Did you end up finding someone who recorded your guys' pitch?
I do have the whole pitch. I can send it to you.
Yeah. I really want to see it, because I think that's like, well, one, congratulations.
Thanks.
You and Kirby. That's so exciting. Mm-hmm. So you and Kirby wrote the whole script. How long did that take?
So we kind of have like a Google Doc or a notes list of just a bunch of ideas that we've had like in the car and on walks and stuff. This one we had outlined maybe like a year ago. And we were like, oh, what could we do that's makeable for this budget? Because that's the whole thing, is like,
right.
It's not enough money to really even make a movie. So we were like, okay, that takes place in just a shitty, dilapidated house. We could totally do that. It's not expensive. We wrote it in like, probably like 2 or 3 weeks, very quickly.
Whoa.
Yeah, and we had the outline, but like, and I think the draft we submitted was like 93 pages, very doable. All of the projects were completely different. There was a sci-fi project. There was like a sort of meta, like Hostel type project. There was a really like absurdist Adult Swim type vibe project. They were all completely different. And we didn't even hear any of the other pitches until the morning of at the tech rehearsal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was like, oh shit, everyone's are amazing. It's just a matter of like, what are they looking for? It's anybody's game. And so, yeah. And one of the judges, Matt, the director, who's like, that was the one I was nervous about because I love his stuff. He basically decided to be like the Simon Cowell. Like in the Q&A, he was asking big questions that were meant to like fuck you up, basically. And he was being pretty tough. And yeah, he kind of stumped me with a question, and then Kirby had to like come in and answer it. There was
Kirby.
Yeah, but he took it so seriously. Like he walked in, he had his glasses on, and he had like an iPad, and he had read every single. I was like, no one's gonna read these. He had read every single script, in their entirety.
That's like lovely though. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
he actually cared. Yeah, there was one group, and he was like, on page 15 of the script, you guys killed a dog. And like the whole crowd booed. Like he was going in.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would have cried probably. I would have cried.
Yeah, but in terms of the pitch, it was like, yeah, we can talk about pitching. It's in general, like that's not enough time to really pitch a movie. But the interesting thing is they didn't really stay strict on the time, and we had the shortest pitch by a long shot.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so what did you try to squeeze into? Whoa, oh my God, sorry. I just like kicked my desk. It shook everything. What did you try to squeeze into a 5 to 6 minute pitch?
Yeah. So basically it was me and Kirby who wrote it, and then Ben, our producer. So the three of us. We also had the biggest group, so we kind of had to figure out how to, shift lines between us. But in general, it was a little bit about the backstory behind the project. So it was kind of all inspired by this weird neighborhood we lived in Pasadena, where the houses were bought by they were supposed to be like a freeway expansion project. And then the houses, like, it never happened. So it's just all these abandoned houses. So it's sort of like, oh, here's a real thing of how we first thought of this idea, kind of backstory. And then it was sort of like the log line and the general premise of what happens in the movie. And then we talked about the characters and the sort of all the emotional stuff. And then I talked about director stuff, which was like, here's the tone, here's the vibe.
And did you use a lot of comps for that? Or what was your basis of tone and vibe?
Yeah, so it's interesting because originally it was also, you have to figure out like how much visual material do you show? Like originally I used a lot from my deck that I made. So there was like, I saw the TV Glow and like all these different movies that I was comping. In the end, the deck we ended up using was only original material. So
ooh, that's nice.
It wasn't, so it was like a poster that I had made that was great by my friend Jaron. There was original concept art, more extra credit. This horror artist, Trevor Henderson, I had him do like a concept art. And then it was like a still from our proof of concept. So every image we showed was original.
Right, in the world.
Yeah. And then, the rest of it, like we tried to sprinkle a lot of jokes in. We tried to emphasize the couple thing. That was kind of our angle. It was like the digital team and also like we're a couple, kind of hammering that home. And then the rest of it was, I
have to film this before my wedding, so please.
that was the funny thing is we specifically did not tell them when the wedding was because we thought, oh, what if they say you guys don't have time to make this?
Yeah.
So we didn't even tell them.
Oh my God,
we're shooting in January and getting married in February.
It's going to be fine. It's not like the tightest turnaround. No, that's amazing. Oh my God. Okay. So so what happens from here now? What do they expect of you?
We're having like our first meeting this week. And yeah, we're basically like the biggest thing is just to get the house and then to get cast to finalize the script. It's not like it's a very doable project. It's just a matter of making sure that we're efficient with our time and making it the best we can. And it's going to be, small, like bare bones, but yeah, this will be a thing that they do every single year. And it was crazy because all of my horror TikTok friends who I met at South by, who were the ones who told me to come to Fantastic, were there. And so we had like a huge group of like front row, like the front 5 rows of just people cheering us on. And I was like, I thought we lost because I was just like, there's a lot of good pitches and there's another project I would have picked.
Yeah.
So I felt awkward and bad that the group was going to like be let down. And then, and then it was like, they announced it and there's like confetti
that does remind me of like last night when Chris Stuckman was like, people like ask, how do you get involved? Like, how do you meet people? And like, he was like, definitely festivals. I absolutely thought of you because obviously like your niche is so much horror that like, I was like, oh yeah, Nick has his, I was like his horror freaks, but like in like the loveliest way. I was like this group of people that like all love that genre so much. Nick, last night, you should have seen me. The entire time. I was literally just like, oh my God, I can't.
The crazy thing about Stuckman was, while I was there, I was also doing influencer stuff. So like I've been working on the Shelby Oaks website. And so Phoebe was like, our friend Phoebe at Neon was like, do you want to interview Chris while you're at Fantastic? So the day before, I did a little interview in the karaoke room with him and we met and we have like mutuals and I know his manager and stuff. So it was good to finally meet. And then, part of the interview was we were talking about like the creator, the same stuff we always talk about, which is like creators turned filmmakers.
Yeah.
And he was so nice and so supportive. And then the next day I was like, oh, we have another example of creator turned filmmaker with my project. And then last night we talked again and he was just like so nice and like, I'm so happy for your movie and thank you so much for the interview. And like, he offered to send notes on like the cut of the movie. And
that's nice.
Kind of the way that, because Flanagan was kind of his mentor and really helped him. And so, it was just like, that's the thing about film festivals is there's just as exhausting as it was, because I was there for like 8 days.
I would have flung myself off a cliff. Bless you.
It's just the vibe of just people who love movies and like even all my producer friends that were there, like once we won, people were offering to help. Like producer friends were basically just sitting down with me and like running through all the things I need to do and helping me and offering, like people are just, it's just like the atmosphere is ridiculous, you know?
Oh, I love that. I feel like that is like kind of like what, like you can't like pay for like it's just like you want to go, you want to meet people that have the same vibe as you. And I think that's like one of those really unique things about the horror genre. Like horror people really just are like rooting for everybody, which is like very fun.
Yeah, it's very, very special. But okay, so pitching, I guess the question becomes what can I take from this that goes into like real pitching?
Life pitching? Yes. Yeah. Well, then I also have like the questions like up here too. Like how about you lean into yours and then I'll go through some of like these questions too, because I think there is like there's a lot of crossover, but also like you usually get 15 to 20 minutes.
Yes, a real quote unquote pitch is much longer, and you're not usually standing on a stage in a bar in front of a bunch of people staring at you and cheering and whatnot. But I mean, I think in general, there's just many types of pitches. There's kind of the you might be meeting with someone and like you kind of just have this agenda of like, if they ask me what I'm working on, if it comes up, I want to pitch them this new thing I'm working on, or I want to give them a little bit so that they're excited about it, so that they ask to read it. And then you have like the specific pitch, which is like everyone is here to hear the pitch, and you want to sell the pitch. sometimes there's pitches where you're just teeing up the material. Like we took this animated thing out recently, and this was kind of like it was the length of a real pitch, but it was like, let me get you excited, and then we're gonna send you the script at the end.
Got it. Yeah. Well, there's also like even for the show I was just on, you're pitching. You have sold your show and you're still pitching the studio and the streamer on where the places that you want to take it. Like there are a lot of variations of pitches, but I think like most of what I think our audience like dreams of is that either you get an agent or a manager or you find a producer on board and then you're going around town pitching your project to get another producer, to get a financier, to get a streamer or a studio on board. And I think that pitch, at least for me, I've only done one in-person pitch. Every other pitch I've done is a Zoom pitch these days.
Yeah. Yeah, which is helpful. So you can have like your notes up and stuff. But yeah, it's I mean, I know writers that don't really pitch that much. Like they just have written a script and then it's like, okay, then people are just going to read the script. I think either way, it's a skill that you have to have, even though like as a new writer, you're probably not going to sell an original pitch unless you're like hot shit right now, you know?
Yeah.
Like all the pitches that have turned into jobs are just like, I'm pitching on material.
Something for them. Yeah. An OWA sorts. I'm about to sneeze. Okay. It went away.
But I think it is a skill you kind of just have to hone. It never stops being awkward. But at the end of the day, you're kind of just telling someone like, here, let me give you an idea of how cool this is going to be. And I think the hardest part, especially when you're in the 15 to 20 minute zone, is just how do you not lose people, especially on Zoom, because it's like you can really tune out.
Yeah.
And kind of going to the whole thing of with our pitch competition, like having the shortest pitch, but a lot of people were like, oh, I think it was the clearest pitch, because sometimes more time doesn't necessarily. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think there's something really that I've like really taken to heart that's helped me a lot. It's harder with when I've done my more like mystery thriller stuff, but I can still kind of bleed it in because there's always like the emotional aspect of just gossiping with like a friend, or like I get really hyped talking about trad wives and like really anything political. And I just kind of try to remember like that's the energy I should be bringing to the story and these characters, that I'm kind of like gossiping about people I know and that I'm that interested. Like, can you fucking believe that she did that? Like, then she lost all her fucking marbles. I think like that kind of helps give you an idea of like the level of intensity you should like maybe bring to the emotional story of the characters. Because I think that's always, people like sometimes get really plotty and I'm like, who?
Yeah. Yeah, it's finding the balance of like, usually, I mean, I write out a pitch, but I try to write it in kind of like a conversational tone, because if you're reading from it in a really formal way and it just kind of sounds awkward. So it's almost like, I think the best case scenario is you're memorizing the pitch so that you know it so well, so that when you recite it, you're kind of doing an improvised version that's just more natural. But yeah, like in general, I mean, I've heard that there are people that have like read from a sheet during a in-person pitch and like in theory sold it. I just don't think it's very engaging. And you know, it's not fair that writers have to like do this and perform, but
it's kind of like their competition is you then. Like you went and made all of these extra materials. And I think that's kind of what writers get annoyed about, like rightfully so. But it's like, if someone else is going to go above and beyond because they want this, like that is your new competition, like level, which is where like pitch decks and all of that comes into play. But
talk about that, because that's the whole controversial thing with like Julie is always saying you don't need the pitch decks.
Yeah. And like I don't think that you do. Like if you're someone who can really sell it, like I think Kira Jones is just like such an amazing presence in the room that like she can just sell on her own accord. But if you're someone who's like, I really want to show the visual of this world I'm building, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you are talking to business minded folks, and like if you can show them, show don't tell, guys. Like you look at the thing I'm planning to build right here. I do think that also does add a layer of complexity like to remember that you're got to click to the next slide while you're engaged in the thing that you're reading. It adds a lot of like of complications in that way, but like as you get used to it, I think it's great. There are just also so many pitch decks. There's a pitch deck that you bring to the pitch. There's also a pitch deck that you can just send along, and that usually has like a lot of text on it just to get people intrigued enough to even want to read a script. There's just like a lot of different steps in it. There's also like there's a lookbook and a pitch deck, and those are all different things. So I think like it's just kind of keeping in mind what your audience is looking for and what what step you're at in the pitch process. And like, yeah, I just think like I also love like a little like a little proof or like a teaser. Like I like that too. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of execs still like a PDF because you don't got to turn your volume on. You like can look at it from anywhere. You can be on your phone. It's like a quick slide through. So I think there is a benefit to that. I also think get on Canva and get Shot Deck. And those are like the only two tools that you like need these days. I think Canva has so many great aspects of it to like building decks. That would be like the deck side of that. And I think something that's kind of not talked about a ton either is like what you were saying, like what are the things I want to hit? And I think a lot of people hate writing like the why me, why this story, but I tend to feel like that being able to connect yourself kind of, especially if it's like an OWA, like when I've done book ones, you really want to tell the person like why, and this is your story to tell, and like why no one else can do it. Like that tends to be a section that I think people get like I don't know, because I like it. And you're like, you got to dig
That's
deep.
kind of the whole thing is, why we already have the source material and the plot, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's like, what are you going to take from this? That was a really hard learning curve for me when I started, like I did a pitch on a book and I was like, oh, I like the book the way it is. And I like did the pitch for my managers at the time. And they were like, yeah, like this is a really solid pitch on what exists. Like this is the plot of the book, but we've all read the book. So like, what is your take that's going to change it? And I was like, oh my God, this is how book adaptations are so different from the movie is so different from the book because they do want you to do something different actually. That was a shock on the pitch for book adaptations for me, for sure.
Yeah. My first comic adaptation that I did, Planet of the Nerds, like it was a huge part of it was just about my identity in high school of like playing water polo and like kind of not really being a jock and feeling like a nerd, but also like none of the other guys on my team liked like comics and stuff like that. And then Magic School Bus was like all about my mom being Frizzle. And like, so yeah, you have to basically find your way in. There's an animated movie called Migration that I think Mike White wrote. And the main character is just like a scared, really paranoid dad. And like, when I watched it, I was like, oh, I bet he pitched this like as himself, basically. Like the character just felt like I could feel him saying, no, I am this person.
Yes.
Like that's kind of always what you have to do.
Yeah. And I think that's like kind of the most important chunk. Like why are you telling this? I really also love like when it's based somewhere and you can just tell someone knows about, like they grew up there, or like it's like, I'm going to pull this from the people in my town. And like the woman that works at the 7-Eleven and she's been there for 30 years. She like kicked me out of the store. Like whenever like you can get really granular into a moment that can relate back to the story, I think that's like the most impactful. And I also think spending a good amount of time on the characters so that like their emotional arc is always the focal point of where you're going. Because like, again, you can say like, and then a train runs them over, but it's like, and then her life ends up completely ruined and shattered when like her sister steps in front of a train. Like there's just something weighted to that's different, that I think is a really easy change that people sometimes miss when they're just like, I got to get through all the beats.
Yeah. I think in terms of the decks, like I think I used to do them a lot more. Like all the early ones I did, I had the deck. And so I think I told myself like, oh, I have to do this. But I think I would have probably got those without the deck. I think sometimes just like, 20 minutes on Zoom, it helps to flip through photos, but there's a downside of that because if your photos don't exactly match the beat you're telling, it can get confusing. So it's like nowadays I just try to rely on the pitch itself.
Yeah.
But in terms of the kind of like extra credit thing that I was saying before, I also think that sometimes the person who gets these jobs is just, the person who's willing to do like the free extra credit. Like for Magic School Bus, I did like so many iterations of completely different versions of that movie. And at the end of the day, I was probably just the last person standing who was willing to like start over. And what about this version? Okay.
Yeah.
What about a time travel version? Okay, I'll do this version. Like I did so many versions. And then recently there was a pitch. There's a really hard adaptation. And I was told early on that I was like, pretty much like the favorite to do this. And I was pitching against one other person. And the first, like, it wasn't even a pitch. It was like a conversation of like, we know the source material has issues. Just tell us kind of what you're thinking, how you feel, what you would do. And so I did that, and they were like, perfect. Now we're going to put you in front of the director and the creative people, do the same exact thing you did. Then you don't need to do a whole pitch. Just tell them like exactly what you told us, which I did. And then I ended up losing because the other guy disobeyed the instructions and just pitched the entire movie. Now, so they did the extra credit, but they took the risk of, you hadn't even heard from the director really what they're thinking yet. So like, you took a risk, but sometimes, it's like, so that's a case where you kind of have to like disobey the instructions.
What Reese did. You're like, sometimes you're like, oh, maybe if I break through, like, and it might not work out. They would have been, that director could have been like, no, that's not what I was thinking at all. So you just never know. And I think that's kind of the fun thing too, like, look, that's like why I also love like the really thinking about like who your audience is too. And especially like, that's also, I personally think I do like a pitch, just talking and chatting with someone more so that it's a conversation. But I do think I'm very, especially for like my own stuff, I always like to send something ahead of time just for them to kind of be like, oh, like she's trying to make Riverdale. Like I see what's happening here. Like just as they have like a notice of what to come in with, because I think if you get this meeting, it's the most important meeting of your day, of your week, maybe of your month. And for this person you're talking to, they're like, this is a Monday. Like, I just got to get through this fucking thing and listen to this person and pray that they're who I'm looking for. I think also like tempering that type of expectation is nice as well. That like you're hyping yourself up for something that someone's like, okay, like it'll be nice to meet you. And that's fine. Oh wait, I did want to look at some of these questions though, because I thought they were good. Let's see. This one's kind of hard. How has having an online presence shaped the room? Do execs come in with a preconceived idea of you as writers, creators? This is definitely one for you. You've experienced this very recently.
Yeah. It's definitely affected it, like, I think only in a positive way. I do, like, before I was getting a lot of meetings with producers and things like that, but lately it's been happening. It actually happened again this morning with like higher level studio execs who are now seeing my stuff on Instagram. Like I went into a meeting last month with this producer that was like, it was almost like putting too much on me. It was like, I think you're so smart and like, you know how to fix the industry. And I was like, no, I just make like videos, like I just talk about stuff. But yeah, it definitely changes the vibe, because usually you're just coming in fresh as a writer, and like these execs rotate so fast that usually they have no preconceived notion of you. So yeah, sometimes it does like throw me off if before the pitch there's a bunch of people on and then one person's like, wait a minute, I know you. And then it's like, okay, now I have to get embarrassed before the pitch. And now like people are probably like Googling me instead of listening to the pitch or whatever. But I think overall it's positive.
Yeah. And I think like it's just getting more and more normal. Like I'm watching people go from screenwriter to this job. I was at the coffee shop the other day and the showrunner stopped me and she was like, I really like your posts. And I was like, oh, I'm like, oh, thank you so much. So, and I think I will say this, something that I think is, I don't do, and I don't know if I would say that you do it either, but I think it's something that's going to become more common. And I'll use like Caro, my friend that wrote Yesteryear, as the example. I say friend loosely. She's like my online friend, but I admire her deeply. And she has the Anne Hathaway movie. Being an expert in something is also a way to grow. So if you have a different passion and you want to talk about that, becoming an expert in that, people will find you and be like, oh, they're a writer, but they're also really into this one subject. I think Nathan has made videos about this as well. Nathan Ramos Park. where he kind of was really passionate about these different subjects, and people have reached out to be like, can you do edits on the script based on your knowledge of this like subject?
K-pop. So I think, wasn't K-pop one of the things, which is why he pitched on K-pop Demon Hunters, and then he had like a different K-pop project.
Yes. And I think like that if you have another passion, like definitely speak about it, talk about it, because people are making films about those things and they're like, oh, that person is so passionate about
no brainer. Yeah, they're the person. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's like a great way to think about your online presence as well. If like you're like, I don't really like, sometimes I'm like, I have nothing to say about the film industry today. It's not making me happy. Let's see. We have with development shrinking, has that changed how you pitch your present projects? Are there things you're more wary of? I just guess, I mean, obviously my life has changed this year, but I think in an overall, like there's just less, everyone's just pitching less original. But I will say Eric said something interesting to me when I was pitching my pilot. One, he actually said he liked it. Doesn't happen a lot, guys. But he had said, he's like, you should write it on spec. Most writers want to go in and pitch and then get paid to write their pilot. Like they're not trying to sell a spec right now. Like they're selling a pitch. He's like, so writers who are out there writing the whole spec, like there is like a bonus to that the material already exists if it's good.
Yeah, I think it's only a positive. Yeah, I guess in TV, yeah, much less common to take that approach for whatever reason. But yeah, it's like taking the feature approach.
Yes, yeah. But like that's, I don't know. I've never really. I guess I'm not high enough to be like, buy my pitch. But I do think, I don't think it can change the way you pitch, because like just the chance to pitch, I think, is what you are really always searching for.
I mean, the best case scenario from a pitch anyway is just that they remember you and like you. You know?
That's also like, and like that's like, sometimes I've had generals also almost turn into pitches where they were like, oh, like, but I want to talk about more about your script. And I'm like, oh, like my managers told me this was just a general, but like you are seemingly interested in the script that you read. So here I go. So I think also just like being ready to do that.
I've also had the opposite where I went in on a specific project and then immediately they told me, so we're going to go with somebody else. But tell us more about your other stuff.
Oh no! Oh my God! That would be a really hard to recalibrate. That you're like, okay, there's no job here. Let's see. What is your least favorite part of pitching?
I think it's the after, because it's so like after you finish and you're just on the Zoom, because it is kind of awkward, but also you can never tell what the reaction is. Like I've had ones, I think Magic School Bus was like this, where it was like no questions, just dead stares, like, okay, I think that was very elaborate. I have no comments, no questions. Anybody? No. And it was just like, bye. And then I got it. And then I've had ones where people seem so interested and like they ask questions for 30, 45 minutes. And then it was a pass. So it's like, it is very, very hard for me to gauge afterwards, like, how did you actually feel? Check. Did you like it? Why are you asking all these questions? Because once I get into it, I feel like I'm able to just kind of tune out and focus on the pitch. But yeah, it's the after and then the waiting. Yeah, because sometimes you're not even waiting for an answer. Sometimes it's just like you're never going to hear anything, which is the answer.
A nice that is the silence is the no, unfortunately. Yeah. I have such a hard time putting into words why I wanted to write something or why I want to do something. Like it really takes me a lot. Like I can write it in the stream of consciousness that only makes sense to me. Putting it in a way where like it will make sense to someone listening to me and I'm not just babbling is it takes me a long time. And I know you get better with practice and stuff at writing these, but it does take me a minute to like change my brain from like script to pitch cell.
Are you talking about kind of the, like when people say, so how did this come about or whatever, and like an answer that is not just like, I don't know, I thought it was a cool idea.
Yes. Where I'm like, because sometimes sometimes I'm just watching something and I'm like, that's fucking cool. And then like, it's kind of what I watch on Reddit or what I read on Reddit sometimes, that people really dissect films and then the filmmaker will be like, didn't think about that. That's not what I was thinking, but I'm glad that you took that. Yeah, so much of weapons. And I think about that sometimes when I'm writing these like little portions of the pitch, and I'm like, now that I've dug deeper, maybe that is what my subconscious was telling me, but that is not the origination of why I was doing this.
My hot take on that would be like, I don't think you should be lying during a pitch, although telling a story, there are like overlaps of lying and embellishing and all that kind of stuff. But I think if you truly have no reason other than like, I don't know, there's just an idea that came to me, thought it was cool, like you should just make something up. And it doesn't need to like, I'm not saying like make up a crazy story, but make up some connection, like find,
like you have to
same
find
as writing.
it. Yes, you have to find the connection. Like I wrote a feature about swingers that I like am still obsessed with, and like it was about like these people were 65 and 70-year-olds joining a swinging club in their town, and like I have no rational. I was just like, I fucking love these characters, like I want to do this, but then I was like, it was about like empty nesters and like not knowing what to do, and I was like, I don't think my parents are swinging, but I do look at that portion of life, and I'm like, oh my god, like that's probably really scary. And like, what do you do when you realize like, who the fuck did I marry 30 years ago? And like that. And I like could get behind the like fear of those feelings. And that was like my rationale to why these people started acting insane. I mean,
I thought you were going to say you made up a story about how one of your grandparents went to like a home and they were swinger at the end of their life or something.
Okay, yeah. See, I don't think I'm that good at that. Yeah, you're like, I met some swinging grandparents. But you know what? I did end up, it was very convenient. Around the time I was writing it, I went to a bar in like my friend's town, and there was like a drunk couple there, and they were like, what are all you like young kids doing here? Like Wednesday nights are for the swingers. And I was like, and none of us, and like they weren't joking. And we kind of were like, here? And they're like, yeah, this is like the swinger bar. It's a town called Naperville, if anyone ever hears of that. But yeah, like then I was like, oh, that's a nice one that I can tag along into my swingers movie, which is why you should go experience the world. Yeah. You'll end up with the story.
Exactly.
I think that was like it on like the kind of like pitching questions. Let me see. One of these is, do you see pitching opportunities expanding outside the traditional Hollywood system? As in indie routes, international partners as a way to actually get things made? That's an interesting question. This is the hard thing that I think you and me talk about a lot, where it's like, no matter what, you seem to want to work in the Hollywood system, so you will need to pitch to Hollywood. Like, Chris Stuckman makes a movie completely outside of Hollywood. He kickstarts this whole thing, but then he wants a Neon or a partner to bring him into Hollywood, and like they need to watch that. They need to meet with him. They need to make sure he's a vibe check normal, and he needs to pitch himself as like someone who can do all the Q&As and promote this movie too. So I think like there's that aspect where it's like you might want to pitch outside and you might meet people, but do you just want to come back in? And like, I think that's like the bonus too of like, once you find your partners, like you kind of have people that are going to ride for you. Like there's just nothing funnier than, not like funny, but like listening to Eric pitch things while I'm just in a different room. There is like no one more passionate in the world. And you're just like, that's what you kind of want someone doing for you, like when you're not around too. Like, and that's what those producers, partners hopefully end up being.
On a side note, we just got an email. So our Roy Lee episode went up today, and we just got an email from our friend Spencer that said, wow, mentioning me to Roy Lee. Thanks for throwing my name out there. Literal jump scare while listening. So shout out to Spencer.
King.
I can't remember that part of the interview, but I 100% guarantee you Roy watches. Have they met?
I think he met Steve, and I don't know if he met Roy.
Okay, I'm sure Roy watches.
But I'm sure that Roy is aware of his.
Yeah, Roy's on top of it.
Yes. Oh, that's so nice.
Trying to make connections between our. Yeah. I guess Spencer hasn't come on yet. We gotta have him on.
We haven't scheduled.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes, yeah. He will be. I think next week we talk to him.
Cool. Thank you to our editor Luke.
And thank you to our team, Rodrigo and Anna. This will literally not be possible without you.
And all of our listeners.
Yeah. Oh my God, guys. This is...
Oh, and especially our Patreon supporters.
I was like, we don't have a Patreon.